everybody. Welcome to ESPN FC Live, your weekly show where we preview, recap, commentate on everything going on around the game. I'm Luis Miguel Echegaray. You all know me as LME just because it's quicker to say so. But of course, we have next to me Stevie Nicol. You went to the dentist or going to the dentist? We were just talking about how much we hate the dentist. How are you, buddy?
Yeah. Well, I'm not bad. I've still got a bit of problem. I'm good.
Steve, Rodri, how do you feel about Rodri Fáez as well joining us? How do you feel about the dentist?
Well, I'm a bit better. Yeah, I'm doing good. Hello. Thanks for having me.
That's the question of the day, everybody. How do you feel about the dentist? Welcome, everybody, to ESPN FC Live. Rodri Fáez and Stevie Nicol will be talking about a massive game in La Liga. Atletico de Madrid hosting Barcelona. Massive race there, of course. And we'll say goodbye to Rodri after that, and we'll talk about the Carabao Cup final between Stevie's Liverpool and Newcastle United for the first piece of silverware, at least in domestic competition in the Premier League. Let's begin in La Liga. Barcelona, Real Madrid are 57 points in the table, but Barcelona leading with the tiebreaker. They also have that game in hand. And Atletico are hosting them, Rodri Fáez, so just 1 point behind. A lot has been going on. Obviously, Atleti losing in dramatic, controversial fashion, some may say, to Real Madrid in the Champions League, and Barcelona doing an easy job there of Benfica. Rodri, before I get to Stevie, set the scene for us here, because this is a massive game. And I guess the first question is, how's Atleti feeling? How's Cholo Simeone feeling as they get ready now? They have to mentally get ready for this game against Barcelona.
Well, first of all, we gotta take one really important thing in mind is that Atletico Madrid has a crucial game against Barcelona this weekend, because they are still talking about what happened with Julian Alvarez penalty against Real Madrid. They are still talking about what happened to Real Madrid, the celebrations of Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, and all these stuff. And this is something important that, I was told this morning, according to the sources that we manage inside Atletico Madrid locker room, is that they have to keep in mind that Atletico Madrid are going to face a crucial match against Barcelona in order not to lose that La Liga title against Barcelona and Real Madrid. So we got to take that in mind, which is something important, not only for us, which we are part of the environment or the atmosphere in La Liga, but also for the players, because they look like they are a little bit more concerned about what happening with Julian Alvarez penalty rather than thinking about Pedri, about Lamine Yamal and Rafinha and Hansi Flick squad. Secondly, I think Atletico Madrid, they are aware of what they can lose, because we know what mentality Simeone have in Atletico Madrid, because he's always afraid of losing some title, afraid of losing any match. And they know perfectly that if they lose against Barcelona, La Liga title is going to be really hard for them, because it's not the same squad, the same investments, the same individual quality that Atletico Madrid have. If you compare Atletico Madrid squad to Barcelona or Real Madrid, they are a little bit behind. And that's why they are really concentrated about winning Barcelona, because it's going to be the second out of 3 games in between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. First one, we remember that tied of 4-4 in Montjuic 2 weeks ago. That was a huge spectacle. They still have to play the second game of that Copa del Rey semi-final, but at the same time, they have to face each other in La Liga. And Atletico Madrid has to be aware of that, rather than what Barcelona could think about that, because they are playing really well. They are in shape now. And in this 2025 year, Barcelona, I think, is by far the best team in La Liga.
Yeah, it's a massive success that Hansi Flick has done in little time, to be perfectly honest, with this team. Read Sam Marsden's piece on Barcelona's trajectory on ESPN FC. But as Rodri said, Stevie, there's a lot mentally for Atleti to really prepare for this game because of what happened in the game. And of course, we can talk about it, and we have talked about it, the controversy behind Julian Alvarez's penalty and everything that went with it. But regardless, there's so much at stake in this game, because to Rodri's point, Stevie, if Atleti lose this game to Barcelona, that's 4 points from Barca, and Barca would still have that game in hand. How big do you see this game for Atleti? Do they need to win this in order to maintain this race?
Well, I think they cannot lose it. I think that's probably the best way to put it. A point apiece keeps them right in it. Yes, Barca will still have a game in hand, but it keeps them in it. And for me, I think we saw at the end of the game with Simeone going around with the players and the fans and trying to lift them. He figured out already, even though the game was only done a couple of minutes, he had figured out already that they can't stick their head between the legs and mope around. They have to refocus for this game coming up. And that's why Simeone was going around getting the crowd going, because he doesn't want the crowd going home all doom and gloom and then coming to the game at the weekend and still having that doom and gloom. He wants to lift everybody because he knows that the players need the crowd. You know, it's not going to be the players are going to lift the crowd. Simeone understands the crowd is going to be a huge part of what happens here at the weekend. And when I say that, I'm talking mainly about the start of the game, because Atletico have to start the game well, and they have to start it solid, and they have to get all the cobwebs of that defeat in the Madrid derby out and get back to business. And to do that, they have to not listen to the noise going on the outside. You know, Roddy's talking there about, they're still talking about the penalty, they're still talking about everything else. As a player and as a group, you have to not listen to any of that. And again, that's down to Simeone. He's the one that has to beat the drum every opportunity and get it in their head that it's the mentality that's going to count. As much as anything at the weekend, we have the right mentality, then we can win this game. Yeah. But we certainly, if we have the right mentality, we can get something out of it at the very least.
Yeah, and this is why I love Diego Simeone, because of that example that you gave at the end of that match. It's like they lost. It was heart-wrenching. Rodri, I think I saw a post from you saying, you know, you should take nothing away, Atleti, from what you did as well in the Champions League. And Cholo Simeone is that kind of manager. It's like, look, head up, because we got to keep going here. And obviously it's difficult, so you really got to focus on this game. So Rodri, you know, Stevie's talking about you got to focus on this game. You need that crowd. You need Wanda Metropolitano to be behind you, which I'm sure they will be no matter what as kickoff happens. But, you know, at the beginning of this game, Real Madrid could be top of the table, right? Because they play on Saturday against Villarreal. If they win, they go top. So Barcelona equally want this. It's going to be a huge atmosphere. Let me ask you just simply, based on what Stevie was talking about, how the hell are Atleti going to stop Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski? How can they do this? What's the plan? Because we always know pretty much it's plan A, right? That low block and be physical. But what can they do to deny Barcelona this victory?
Well, they can kidnap Lamine Yamal before the game. I think that would be the best thing for them in order not to play for Lamine Yamal. Anyway, I know this is really hard for Atletico de Madrid, but this is what Stevie just said, to refocus on what they have ahead is, for me, is a key. It's a key sentence for Atletico Madrid and indeed for Simeone, because we got to remember one thing, that Atletico Madrid, despite the fact of being eliminated by Real Madrid at the Champions League, they won Real Madrid again. They won 1-0 in that match. Yeah, we know what happened with Julian Alvarez, with Oblak, with Courtois, with Rudiger's penalty, with that celebration. But at the end of the day, Atletico Madrid won once again Real Madrid. They defeated Real Madrid. So that is something that, when you gotta refocus and try to concentrate again in that path race or La Liga title race, you gotta keep that in mind, because you know, when you read the newspapers or when you open any platform in social media like Twitter, Instagram, or you know, doesn't really matter. It looks like Atletico Madrid lost that game, and I think it's really important to remember the players, Atletico Madrid players, that, okay, we won that game. We didn't qualify. We didn't get through to the quarterfinals, but we won Real Madrid again. And this is not the first time that we do it in these recent years. So that's why if we are able to win Real Madrid, aren't going to be able to defeat Barcelona where we are going to play home. For me, that is important. And indeed, take back that mentality, for me, is another key for the game, because I know it's not the same, but imagine that you won Real Madrid. You would have faced this game against Barcelona in some other way. But if you change your mind, if you switch that that negativity that is now around Atletico Madrid, I do think that they have really great chances to defeat Barcelona, because it's not easy to play Atletico Madrid home. It's not easy to come, and we know that they have Rafinha, they have Lamine Yamal, they have Pedri. They are all in shape, but at the end of the day, the two before games in between both teams, Atletico Madrid won the first one in Madrid back in December, and in the second one they draw in that 4-0. I mean, Atletico Madrid, they have to be concerned that they have a runner for the titles, and they can defeat anyone this year.
Yeah, Stevie, Rodri said a good point here. Like, Atleti won that game. Like, obviously, in aggregate, it went to penalties, but Atleti won the game against Real Madrid. So there needs to be like a reaffirmation for the players to be like, look, we still need to be confident about it. So how, I guess the same question to you, my friend, how does Atleti enter this game against Barcelona, knowing that in the first leg of Copa del Rey, they also conceded a few goals in that one, even though they scored themselves? Is it a case of we're not going to be able to stop all of them, right? Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski. Like, do we focus on just Lamine Yamal? Do we create a different philosophy? What do Atleti do to get a result here? Because you said it yourself. They cannot lose this game, right? They can't lose it. So what do they do?
I think there's no question. They have to start fast. They have to, in my opinion, at the very beginning of the game, get in the face of Barcelona, close them down early, close them high, and then maybe 5-10 minutes settle down into a decent block where they're not too high but not too deep. Because there's no question, having the mental scars against Real Madrid, having the physical scars of extra time, they're not going to be able to close the ball for 90 minutes. So they need to be smart, but they need to start the game very quickly in order to get rid of the cobwebs, as I said, from the other night, and then settle down and be a little deeper. Because, you're talking about Rafinha, Lewandowski and Yamal. How do you stop them? Well, if you stop the supply, then you stop them. And you can't do that for 90 minutes by closing the ball high. You have to be in a solid shape, and you have to be nice and tight, and deny any time or space, particularly for the two wide guys. So that's really how they have to go about this. They have to start really fast, put the pressure on Barca, let Barca know that there's no hangover from the other night, that they're focused. And then, as I said, because you can't do that for 90 minutes, then you kind of drop back into a real solid shape where there's no space and certainly no time for anybody with the ability of Yamal and Rafinha on that other side that can hurt you. Yeah.
Rodri, who's the biggest threat, do you think? It might be a silly question. Is it Lamine Yamal? Is it Rafinha? Is it Lewandowski? Is it all of them? Yeah. Hey, first of all, our producer Tom Collins told me to ask it. So I'm going to blame it on Tom Collins. But I guess there's context behind it. And the reason is because, Lewandowski, obviously, we know what's happening from him. The moment he has some kind of opportunity in the box, he's going to do it. Lamine Yamal is so, even though he starts on the right and he's an inverted winger, he's still so unpredictable. And I guess the same way with Rafinha. Is it just this trifecta that you're facing as a three, or do you think Atleti Simeone is paying more attention to one side rather than the other one?
I mean, knowing Simeone, I think he's gonna be paying more attention, trying not to concede any goal, because this is the way that he built their teams and their victories. Secondly, I agree with Tom Collins. Yeah, indeed. I agree with Tom Collins that this question has to be asked, because I do understand when you are facing Barcelona, it's like, okay, who should I try to cover before the rest? I mean, for me, the key player of FC Barcelona is Lamine Yamal. He's so unpredictable, as you said, but at the same time, he's very predictable because he always do the same. And I remember what a player from Atletico Madrid told me a couple of months ago. Yeah, he's unpredictable, but at the same time, he's so predictable, but it's impossible for us to get him. Because when he got the ball, he knows. I mean, they know what he's going to do. He's always doing like this, and with the left leg, he's going to try to score, and he scores. We know what he's going to do, but he does it anyway. We try to cover, but this is impossible for us. This is what an Atletico Madrid player told me a couple of months ago, and this is the great thing of Lamine Yamal, because he's young, he's fast, his mentality, his physicality. I mean, he's at the top level, and we don't really know when he will be trying to overcome himself. But at the same time, it's like he's marvelous. He's marvelous, and in the same way, I'm not gonna compare him to Leo Messi because I think it's pretty soon for that. But at the same time, it's like, wow, at that age, what Leo Messi was doing and what he's doing. We remember he led Spain national team to win the last summer's Euros, and now he's leading FC Barcelona. He and Rafinha both are leading a great side like Barcelona. So, for me, Lamine Yamal is the most dangerous player just by far.
Yeah, I mean, it's the predictable unpredictability, I guess, of Lamine Yamal. And I see your point, and Stevie will join us in a second. I think he's struggling. I think he's going back to the dentist and complaining about it. He'll join us up in a second. But but there is one. The only thing that I will say about, look where Lamine Yamal is now at 17 and Leo Messi, obviously, I think the eras were a little bit different, and the patience that Patrick Kluivert had with him in bringing him up. But your point is absolutely valid. We're talking about a European Championship champion already, who was 16 years old for the majority of that tournament. It's absolutely remarkable. And there is this idea that even though he's this inverted winger, he's got so much more to his back pocket. All right, so let me take you here then. I mean, you don't have to give me a full score prediction, but what do you expect in this game? Because I do think I'm kind of with Stevie Nicol on this one. I think that at the beginning of this match, Atleti, I think they need to press high. I think they need to be in the face of Barcelona because they can't allow a rhythm and then eventually fall back to that low block. What do you expect? Do you expect a similar type of strategy, or do you think something different is going to happen from Atletico?
I imagine with a lot of goals game. I imagine that, and I
high-scoring match, just like the Copa del Rey game. Yeah.
Well, maybe not that much, because that was impossible to repeat again. But I think it's going to be like a 2-2, or maybe Barcelona winning 2-1, or Atletico Madrid winning 3-1. I think it's going to be a very box-to-box game. We know how Atletico Madrid are going to be. They're going to be really tired. We know perfectly how Barcelona were struggling against Benfica in the physicality side, because I think it was an easy game for them against the Portuguese. But at the same time, I think Atletico Madrid are going to be more tired than FC Barcelona. So I think they're going to create more spaces at the defense. So this is going to be maybe a little bit easier for Barcelona rather than what we saw in the Copa del Rey semi-final game. So I think it's going to be, I don't really know, to be honest, who's going to win, because now I'm, a little mess. But at the same time, I do believe that it's going to be a high-scoring match for sure.
Yeah, Stevie, I know that you were off complaining about your dentist. You made a phone call. You're back for us now. You're back. We're just talking about predicting this game here. What do you expect here? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I know Atleti are at home, but you have to think Barcelona are favourites. There's no question. There will be a physical letdown from the Madrid derby. So in some ways, I'm a little worried about this side because as much as Simeone, as I said, was after the game trying to get the crowd going, boy, there was a lot of dejected looking faces. And then when you turn around and you realise that you're playing Barcelona at the weekend, and you're going to have to be at your sharpest and your strongest, and you're going to have to be concentrated, and that's half the game. Half the game is the mental side of it. Now, because Simeone's the manager, you think that he will have instilled that strong mentality in his side, which clearly we've seen already this season, particularly against Barcelona away from home, coming back late and scoring goals. So they're going to have to draw on all of that knowledge, all that mental strength, and all that belief in order to get something out of this game. I think at the very best they get a draw. Unfortunately, I think Barca wins.
All right, so give me a score prediction. What do you think?
2-1 Barcelona.
2-1 Barcelona. Rodri, what do you think? Give me a score prediction. Come on.
Atletico Madrid 2, Barcelona 2.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going with a draw as well. I'm going with a high-scoring draw. I think if there's one manager in Europe that can just say, forget about what happened, let's get it already, to the point of you're so scared of thinking about it because Simeone doesn't want to yell at you again, is Atletico Madrid. It's going to be a tough one, though. I don't see a win for Atleti, though, and I think neither does anybody here. But we'll see what happens. A massive game. Atletico de Madrid against Barcelona in La Liga. Rodri, Fáez, make sure to follow him, obviously, on ESPN, ESPN FC. Rodri, gracias, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Take care, brother. All right, Stevie, it's just me and you. Let's return to England now. The Carabao Cup final. Speaking of forgetting about what happened earlier in the week, Arne Slot has to do the same thing with Liverpool Football Club as they lost, I think deservedly so, to a very good PSG side in the Champions League. And now they face Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley on Sunday. Liverpool, by the way, have a record 10 times have won this competition. They're obviously the defending champions of the competition. But there's a few issues here, Stevie. Trent Alexander-Arnold is injured. Ibrahim Konate is being assessed. And now they face Newcastle, who are looking for the first domestic title trophy since 1954-55 when they won the FA Cup. Talk to me about this Carabao Cup final, Stevie. What do you expect from Liverpool, at least, as they face Newcastle United?
Well, I mean, had you asked me this question 3 weeks ago after Liverpool comfortably beat Newcastle at Anfield 2-0, then I would be talking about this is Liverpool's to lose. You know, how are Newcastle going to overcome this? But so much has gone wrong for Liverpool in the past, 2 or 3 weeks. Not just in terms of results, but in terms of performance. You know, ever since that Newcastle game, Liverpool have really struggled. Struggled with PSG, struggled at home against Southampton. Then, of course, we saw what happened with PSG at Anfield during the week. So this is not quite as straightforward as I thought it was going to be. I do, however, think that Arne Slot will get his troops going. I think it's interesting that, you know, we've been talking about Arne Slot all season, and the things we've been talking about have been about how he's got this Liverpool side playing, how they go at pace and then they can change the pace of the game, slow it down, they can keep it tight, they can drop off. You know, his substitutions have been great, his team selections have been great. The one thing I don't think we've touched upon is his man management. And this cup final is absolutely, for me, going to be about man management. It's going to be about how does he do a Simeone? You know, we know Simeone's all about the mental side of the game and the toughness you have to have and lifting his players and lifting the crowd. It's not something we've really seen Arne Slot do, or certainly hasn't had to do. So I think this is a test of his man management skills. How does he get his team going? How does he get through to these players that they are still the best in Europe? You know, in the space of 2 weeks, you don't go from the best team in Europe to just also-rans. But there's no question they've dropped a little bit in terms of everything they do. I don't think they've consciously dropped the standards. I think just as teams do, they go through little periods where things just don't quite work out. And a couple of players look a little jaded, particularly in the middle of the park. You know, Gravenberg and McAllister recently have looked a little bit tired.
Yeah, Szoboszlai too, I think. Yeah,
Szoboszlai hasn't been at his best recently. So all of those things make it easier for Newcastle. However, we're talking about experience in cup finals, and there's no more experienced team right now than Liverpool and Newcastle, as we know. Historically, anytime they've been to a final since, I think 1965 was the last time they won in a trophy.
Yeah, it was the UEFA Cup back. Yeah.
I'm not sure they know how to handle that. The Liverpool do. So, yeah, I think it's a little tighter. Obviously, Gordon's not playing. That's good news for Liverpool. Bad news for Newcastle. But it's definitely going to be tighter than I expected a few weeks ago. I still think Liverpool are favourites. So I expect Liverpool to come out in the right end at the end, but it's going to be tight.
Yeah, the man management point is an excellent one. I haven't even thought about that, to be honest with you, because you would think, because to the point that you're talking about, throughout the entire season, yes, you know, they lost at Forest at home, and everything like that. But it hasn't been as dramatic, as overwhelming, especially during a time when Liverpool actually hasn't been playing that well. I mean, you mentioned Southampton. Southampton were leading 1-0 at the end of that first half. That's not good enough, for somebody that's about to win the Premier League. And so I think that's an excellent point, because Arne Slot is not Diego Simeone. You just know, you could just see it. He is much more calculated, I guess, calm in his demeanor. So, we don't know what he does behind closed doors in the training ground. But I think it's a really good point about making sure that they wake this Liverpool side out. How big of a loss is Trent Alexander-Arnold, do you think, in this game?
Well, to be honest, I think it will depend on the fitness of Konate, strangely enough.
He's being assessed. Yeah.
Because Quansah, Conor Bradley's injured, and Joe Gomez is still injured. So it's kind of a straightforward Quansah who actually, the last couple of weeks, came on and played right back when Trent was taken off. So it's not a huge problem. It just becomes a bigger problem if Konate's not fit, because that means that Quansah would have to play centre back, and then we're kind of scratching around who plays right back. So, yeah, it's a problem, but it depends on Konate, in my opinion, how big the problem actually will become. And of course, It also helps, as I said, Gordon's not playing.
That's huge.
He would have been on that side, so that would have made it doubly difficult for Quansah or anybody else. But the fact is that he's not playing, he's suspended. And so it's kind of tempered a little bit.
Yeah. Anthony Gordon's absence is massive. I think it's really big. Alexander Isak remains the biggest threat, obviously, 19 goals in the Premier League. Big game. Hopefully, for the neutral at least, it will be a high-scoring game, but it should be an entertaining one. Give me your prediction then.
I'm going to go the same as the Barca Atleti. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I think it's going to be 2-1, where Liverpool score the second goal in extra time. That's what I think. 2-1, but I think Liverpool's going to have just about an oh dear, he says. There you have it, though, the Carabao Cup final. Hey, before we go, let's talk Thomas Tuchel's first England squad call-up, as England, the Three Lions, are getting ready for World Cup qualifiers. Very difficult qualifiers against Albania and Latvia. He says sarcastically, by the way. But anyway, Tuchel has selected his team. And there you have it on the screen. Obviously, there's a few to discuss. Congratulations to MLS, Miles Lewis-Skelly, 18 years old, getting his first call-up. We've got Solanke, even though injured. Ollie Watkins, he got a knock in the Champions League, so he's not get 4 Aston Villa players otherwise would have been there, but it's 3. Let's focus on this one first here, Stevie. Marcus Rashford. A few months ago, my friend, this Rashford couldn't even get into the dining room at Carrington. Now he's in the England squad since joining Aston Villa. Thoughts on that one first? Marcus Rashford in the England squad.
I think this is absolutely Thomas Tuchel getting a close-up look at Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford hasn't done anything in particular since he went to Aston Villa.
4 assists, Stevie Nicol. 4 assists for Villa. Come on now.
I'm sorry. No.
But your point is valid, though. It's 2, with all due respect, very weak teams that England have to face. You might as well give him a look, right? Yeah.
I think he wants to get a closer look himself, personally, up close and personal with Rashford. He wants to kind of see what he's all about and see if he can figure out whether, this guy is whether the problem's Man United or whether the problem's Rashford. Let me just put it that makes it a simple way. Is it United or is it the player himself? I think absolutely 100%. That's why Rashford is in the squad.
Yeah, where his mindset's at. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But regardless, it's at least in this very window since joining Villa, it's a different Rashford, because we didn't even know anything about him during the Amorim time and everything like that. So, but regardless, he's there. Let's talk about the other one for a second. Tom Collins, if you can just show us the graphic here. Jordan Henderson. 34-year-old Jordan Henderson is back. So the last time he played for England was November 2023, I believe. Ajax obviously left Saudi Arabia. Thoughts on that one? Jordan Henderson in the midfield.
Can't figure it out. I'll be honest. I've been trying to figure, since I saw it, I've been trying to figure out why. Jordan Henderson has been playing well for Ajax. but no offense, it's the Eredivisie.
Over Morgan Gibbs White, Stevie, too, like.
Well, yeah, Henderson. I mean, forget everybody else. Just if we just concentrate on why you bring Henderson in, it doesn't make any sense. Gibbs White is the obvious. Why are you leaving him out and bringing Henderson in? And again, it's just another question we don't have answers for. John Henderson's 34. He is not the same player he was a couple of years ago. And he's not going to be the player he was a couple of years ago when he was in the England team. And so I just don't understand it. I really don't. These two games are a great opportunity to see the younger guys, whether it's Gibbs White or whether it's Wharton from Palace or anybody else. It makes no sense to me. I really can't figure it out. I have absolutely no reason why you would bring him in. Because surely he's not expecting them to be involved in an upcoming World Cup. I mean, really? I don't see it. It makes no sense. And there's one other that doesn't make any sense to me either.
Okay,
again,
which one?
Dan Burn.
He's absolutely waxed lyrical over Dan Burn, Thomas Tuchel, about his influence and how far he can go. What are your thoughts then?
Well, Dan Burn's problem is his pace.
He's just a big guy. That's it. Yeah.
He's 100%. He's a really good Premier League player. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dan Burn's done a great job for Newcastle, but he's not an elite international footballer. And the only reason is because he doesn't have the pace. He just doesn't have the pace for international football. And so that's why I'm not quite sure I can figure out that one either. Him and Henderson makes no sense to me. Dan Burn, I don't believe, is an international footballer for that very reason I told you. And so the two of them are the real head scratchers. The Rashford one, I kind of get it.
Yeah. The Rashford one is understandable. I'm in agreement with you. But regardless, that's Thomas Tuchel's first call-up as England manager, obviously since taking over from, Gareth Southgate permanently. Obviously, it's Albania, it's Latvia. It's not necessarily something that you don't have to scratch your head over. But regardless, that's the one for you. But there you have it, everybody. Stevie, final words before. Okay, so you got Liverpool winning, Atleti losing, right? Is that it? Anything else? What else are you doing on the weekend?
Praying for the Liverpool win. That's my concentration this weekend. Praying it doesn't all fall apart.
Yeah, well, I think it will happen. I think Liverpool will win this game, but we'll see. We'll have to say. Well, anyway, Stevie Nicol, make sure to follow him, watch him on ESPN FC of ESPN Plus, ESPN, wherever you watch ESPN. And we will be back this weekend to recap all the action. Have a fantastic weekend. If you're praying just like Stevie, may God bless you as well. We'll see you next time. Till then, bye-bye.